Okay, my name is Lani Hagen, and I'm going to present our paper, Contribution of Data Science to Digital Government Research. And it is co-authored by Teresa Harrison and Mary Folling. First of all, motivations of the study is that we recognize that many promises of data science exist, but what is not clear was what kind of innovative questions are the most useful ways of utilizing data science to enhance the knowledge and practice of digital government. So to answer this question, we reflected on the past 10 years of data-driven research in the field of digital government. In this paper, to understand how researchers have embraced data science to enhance knowledge about digital government research and practices. Before we go into further, this is the definition that we followed in this study for conducting some manual coding. And data science is evolving concept, but in the current level of knowledge, data science is defined as a body of principles and techniques for applying data analytic methods to data at scale. To discover correlations in the data with measures of likelihood and within error bounds. And results are interpreted with respect to some predefined, such as theory or emergent specification of the properties of the phenomena being investigated. So in a way, there's some parts that depending on where the researchers are, researchers could focus on tool development of data science to enable enable data science studies, or focusing on applying those tools that are developed to extract patterns. So more detailed discussion is something like engineers might be interested in developing tools to enable the extraction of useful patterns from big data. But from social scientists' perspectives, data science could be viewed as a process of extracting naturally occurring patterns from available data at scale. And also data science could be viewed based on the outcomes. So do we pursue descriptive outcomes or predictive outcomes? For example, modeling, people who are trained in model development might be interested in predictive outcomes to make more accurate forecast of future outcomes. But perhaps social scientists might be interested in more descriptive outcomes by extracting more useful patterns from large volumes of data sets, and they want to interpret it directly. So based on the fundamental questions and what has been done in the past, we developed 4 research questions. The first one is, in what type of articles do we observe the application of data science principles to research in digital government? The second question is, which techniques, data science techniques, are heavily applied? And what is the trend of data science studies in digital government research? The third question is, what did the use of these techniques accomplish? And the fourth question was, what are the situations in which data science is used in terms of data types and corresponding methods? What are the digital government research questions and preferred data science methods, data sets to address them? So in terms of methods, we have manually coded relevant articles that were published between 2011 and 2019. And to extract relevant articles, we used 13 queries that were developed based on the concepts defined there in the boundary of data science methods. And then we further had to define criteria for inclusions for the study, because those query sets extracted large volumes of articles, and most of them were not really relevant for our answering our research question. And the detailed inclusion, exclusion criteria are reported in the paper. Using the relevant articles, we have coded 4 categories, coded each articles to 4 categories. The first category was, is it data science article or not? And once an article is coded as data science articles, then we coded the further 4 more categories to answer questions. The first one is what is the data source that was used? And then the second category is what is the data science techniques that was applied in the paper? And these are all manually coded after reading each of these articles. And what is the purpose of the data science outcomes? And after coding relevant or not category, we found there is 130 unique articles that were relevant. That means data science articles. They were further coded to be reported in the finding section. After we coded relevant or not category, we calculated inter-rater reliability. 2 independent coders coded this category for 10% of the total corpus. And the IRR was 0.71 before discussion and 0.88 after discussion and some resolving discrepancies between the 2 coders. This is findings. So before we report those relevant category, it was interesting to see that artificial intelligence and data analytics studies that were used with these terms are mostly not relevant, not data science articles, and mainly those are because they're conceptual papers and not conducted data science work using data, the quantifiable data, and using data science methods. Okay, so to answer the first question, what types of articles do we observe in the corpus? So among many analyses, this was the most interesting, that the trend-wise researchers that use machine learning and network analysis and cluster analysis were becoming pretty popular, especially on 2018. And network analysis has been popular, but it's gaining its popularity also. And machine learning is newly rising, and cluster has picked up since 2016, and the trend is it's going upward trends. The second question is, which data science techniques were heavily applied? So to answer those questions, machine learning, network analysis, and text mining were the most popular methods that were applied. And traditional statistics were still popularly used as well, 15% of the corpus. The third question is, what is the purpose of the data science outcomes? And we have developed categories to code this descriptive outcome or predictive outcome or tool development, or multiple categories. And this is the result. The 66% of the data science articles were descriptive studies, which means it's mainly to find patterns from the data. And they often use some visualization to present those extracted patterns. And some of the studies included manual coding to complement quantitative analysis of finding new patterns. And predictive modeling is developing models such as sentiment analysis models to improve accuracy of the prediction. And then multiple categories. It is interesting to see, many studies, like 16% of the corpus have at least two elements. Either they developed predictive modeling, and then they use those developed predictive modeling to demonstrate how it works, and then which was usually extracting patterns, and then they provided interpretation of it. So often it is either predictive modeling and descriptive studies pair, or tool building and descriptive studies pair. Fourth question is data type and corresponding data science techniques. So this is in a way interesting that almost half of the data are social media data, and some specialized data explains 36%, and then government data set or survey or interview data were also used for data science methods. And among those social media data, Twitter data was the biggest majority of the data. 66% of data were Twitter data. Summary of findings. So we found that increasing trend of applications of DS methods in digital government research, and using large volumes of data. And also, although scholars' interest in AI has increased, studies in the sample data are currently about AI instead of doing AI, and I expect that doing AI part will increase in the future. Methodologically, network analysis, machine learning, and clustering were the most frequently used data science methods, and description is the most popular outcome of data science studies. And certain methods tend to be used to achieve certain outcomes. For example, clustering and network analysis are the most frequently used to pursue descriptive results. So what is the contribution of data science to digital government research and practice then? We have three categories to discuss. The first one is we found that there is ongoing tool development efforts using data science methods. So it's a valuable data science makes contributions to digital government research by tool development perspectives. It enables collection, processing, prediction of data. Also, the descriptive scholarship, and we investigated how does this outstanding descriptive scholarship contribute to study of digital government? And we found that enabling and inspiring newer approaches in social science research is one interesting contribution of data science. And also, some studies demonstrated that these novel discovered patterns can be used directly for policy making, and it demonstrated it was used in changing petition platform design. Also, but very limited number, but data science enabled identifying new factors or constructs for theory development. And finally, learning function. Some studies provided readers from outside of data science discipline with detailed information about the approach that helps the reader understand what will be involved in actually using it and illustrating what the approach yields in terms of knowledge. So learning function was one new rising scholarship. Finally, data source, methods, and outcomes give us some points to think about. First of all, data sources often determine which kind of methods and outcomes to be used and to be expected. Also, the fact that data sources are heavily skewed to social media give us some points to think about, especially the current phenomenon of using Twitter data. 66% of our data used Twitter data when social media data was used. So it is because it is related with this the fact that use of convenience samples or so-called given data sets. Twitter data set is widely used because it's convenient to collect compared to other data sets, and it's available. And the quality of data set is pretty high. That's why data scientists frequently used. But one problem that it gives us is replication problem. Because it is given data sets, researchers have no control over data sharing policy. And if you want to replicate a study, it is not always possible because the data set, the nature of data set could be changed by platform companies' decision. So this gives us to discuss that we need to have a standardized policy of data publication and harvesting by platform companies. And there are some inputs by researchers that were adopted by platform companies, such as CrowdTangle, where Facebook share their data set to selected researchers and journalists. And so this trend of data transparency and standardized policy is pretty important for future research of data science. That's one of the implications of this study. Okay, thank you for joining this session, and hope to have some interaction during the conference.